Hello, wrestling fans. Welcome to a special edition of SICW All-Star Wrestling. I'm Drew Abendhaus here with the man himself, Mr. Herb Simmons. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year.
Everything. I'm telling you, I hope everybody that's out there watching us here on this Sunday night that's had a great Merry Christmas. And we're going to take you back in memory here a little bit over 2025 as we approach 2026.
Absolutely. We talked about this being a special episode. We're going to talk you through some highlights. We're going to show you some highlights. It's going to be a pretty special episode, I think, because we had a pretty special year. We went a lot of places. We did a lot of things, had a lot of special guests come through SICW, and let's talk about it.
A lot of surprises.
There sure was a lot of surprises. Well, let's start with a little bit of a recap. Well, not a recap, but a State of the Union. Our champions at the moment, we have Brandon Beretta, Strictly Business, standing on top of the mountain as the Classic Wrestling Champion. We have Big Nasty, Glenn Williams, and the Super Assassin are our current tag team champions. And of course, the very popular young man, James Jeffries, is our Central States champion. We're going to show you a little bit of all of that as we get into it. So as it stands, what do you think about the current state of things?
Well, I think the current state is good. Everybody that you've mentioned right there is probably where they need to be. You and I have talked about the Big Nasty, and now he's went out and put this Nasty Talk show together. I'm not so convinced that that's the right thing to do for our viewers, but a lot of viewers seem to be liking it, so I don't have to as long as they do.
They call it Nasty Talk, and I guess that's the right name for it. People have certainly been talking, my goodness.
Yes, they have.
So let's start at the beginning. Great place to start, right? At the beginning of the year, we returned to the home, the place you've been promoting wrestling now for 40 plus years, right? The Belclair Fairgrounds. So let's talk about the great shows at the Belclair Fairgrounds. They've done a little bit of construction. I think they will be doing a little more as we get into the year, but what an amazing place for professional wrestling in Belleville. And gosh, you can see the wrestling ghost in that building. You've had Bruiser Brody, Lou Thez was a referee once upon a time there. Also, Dick Murdoch, and on and on. What was it like for you to get back in the place that you've always called home?
Well, it was great. That Belclair Fairgrounds has been there forever, and it's going to continue to be there forever with all the new construction, the new racetrack. There's been a lot of publicity about that, but just the makeover they're doing at that expo hall is just unbelievable. They're bringing back the county fair this year, but to go back to the wrestling days when we first brought Bruiser Brody in there, Tojo Yamamoto, Gypsy Joe, as you said, that walls, the ghost in there, you feel them when we're in there each month that we're there. And it was such a great feeling to go back there. And I can't thank the fans enough who continue to come out there and support us each and every month.
Absolutely. But of course, as you'll see, folks, that was not, of course, the only place that we were in 2025. So let's go back, first of all, to March. Let's start towards the beginning of the year. We made our trip back to a beautiful building. There's really no place like the Ionide Shriners Temple in East St. Louis, Illinois.
Well, what a great group of people the Shriners are. They come out there, Blake Hoover, all of them is just, they work together, Dave Schneidlin, they come out there and they do such a tremendous job for the community. But they also go out there, and this is one of their annual fundraisers they've been doing. They have an annual gun show that we participate in with them, a great success. This Christmas season, they've had a big Christmas tree festival, they call it, raising money for that. But the wrestling is just always a great time at a beautiful building, and that's a lot of historical information there at that building. They've had kings and queens and you name it, policemen's balls, circuses. It's just a beautiful building, and I love going back there every year.
It's a one-of-a-kind building where you can tell there's a lot of memories inside that building. And folks, if you haven't been there, we're going back in just a couple of months, right?
Yes, we'll be back there February the 21st, and this year they've actually going to do it a matinee show. We're going to start at, doors will open at 2 o'clock. Bell time will be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They called and said, hey, we want to do an afternoon show that we're there. Folks can get out of there early enough and get back home and get ready to go to church the next morning or whatever they may do. So,
yes, sir.
Mark that date down, February the 21st. We're going to be right there at 609 St. Louis Avenue in East St. Louis, the beautiful, historical Ionide Shriners Temple.
All right, so we'll be going back, of course, in February, but let's talk about what happened this past March. It was Big Nasty got one over on folks, at least he thought he did, with a little bit of shenanigans against the Big Texan. Big Nasty Glenn Williams came out of that match as the Ionide Shriners champion, at least temporarily, because right after that, yourself made an immediate match. Glenn Williams didn't have much time to celebrate as he would be defending that beautiful Ionide championship against Belleville's own Bobby D that same night.
Well, and Bobby D, being the crowd favorite right there at the Shriners Temple, being from Belleville, Illinois, a lot of Shriners from Belleville, and Bobby D, when I made that match, you saw the place erupted.
Of course.
And then, of course, tell them what happened there at the end.
They erupted when you made the match. They erupted a little more when Bobby D got a little bit of revenge on behalf of the Big Texan and himself, as Glenn Williams only was that Ionide Shriners champion for maybe about an hour or so, but it allowed him to do some bragging, but it allowed Bobby D to stand tall at the end of the evening as the Shriners champion, and he still is the reigning Shriners champion, and we'll see how that plays out in February.
Yes, sir. That like you say, each year they crown a new one, or Bobby could be lucky and retain it.
Yes, sir. Let's move forward to April of 2025. We saw the Top Guns collide. We saw a bit of an attitude change. I was shocked. You were shocked. I know the fans were shocked as we saw Brandon Beretta, formerly the Top Gun, Brandon Beretta, start to show signs of this strictly business side of himself. We thought maybe it was an issue between Joe Vanetti and Brandon Beretta, but it turned out Brandon was a little bit more of a jerk than we thought he was. Not the young man that we first met.
Well, and I got to tell you, throughout 2025, that was the most complex situation that I had to be faced with because, as you said, we knew and we liked the Brandon Beretta, the gentleman who graduated from the Ace Wrestling Academy, teamed with Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. in a match. And to see him do what he did was very disturbing. I can't say that I like it, but I will give him credit. He is definitely making a name for himself out there on the circuit.
He certainly did. But on this night in April, it was Joe Vanetti, his Top Gun tag team partner, who got a little bit of revenge. It was Brandon who turned his back on Joe Vanetti originally, but on this one-on-one contest, it was Joe Vanetti got the 1-2-3 over his former Top Gun partner. Congratulations to Italian Grit, who's really on a roll of his own. He's becoming one of the top up-and-coming stars, not just in SICW, but in the Midwest. He won, of course, the AIWF Super 16 tournament match and toured all over, went up north, went out east. Joe Vanetti really making a name for himself, too.
Yep, well, and that's what happens when they attend the Ace Wrestling Academy, like these two men have, along with others that we'll talk about. But those two, I mean, they were such a good team together.
They were.
And for that to happen was kind of unfortunate, but we'll see what happens in 2026.
Yes, sir. Also, on that same night, April of 2025, we saw a new Classic Wrestling champion crowned. We started out the year with the 450-plus pound monster Kowalski, who had dethroned Big Texan, who was the champ for over 400 days. Kowalski was riding high until he ran into that buzzsaw that is Bobby D. Bobby D, I call him a Swiss Army knife. He can amateur wrestle, he can fly, he can brawl with you, and he had to dig deep and show all of these things to overcome the monster Kowalski. And on this night, we saw Bobby D reach the pinnacle of what is a 20-something year career now. Bobby D's been with you for a very long time. And on this night, he reached the pinnacle of his career thus far. Bobby D following up his win at the Shriners Temple with a win in Belleville, becoming the Classic Wrestling champion, joining a incredible list of really who's who for SICW. Ron Powers, Gary Jackson, Flash Flanagan, amongst others.
Well, and what a champion Kowalski was. Like you said, 450 pounds of just raw meanness.
Yeah.
I mean, he buzzed through a lot of competition out there. And Bobby would tell you it was a feat that he had to reach down inside to beat that big man. And like I said, I didn't always agree with Kowalski's tactics in there, but he held that title until he came up against the buzzsaw, Bobby D.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about May 2025, and there's a magic word that I know maybe we'll talk a little bit about while we're here. That's a magic word that's been a thorn in your side called FanFest.
Yeah.
Fans love it. Wrestlers locally love it. I love it. Wrestlers come from around the world. Fans come from around the world. They've done it 3 times now. And I know you've pulled out hairs and it's stressed you out. We've lost sleep. There's been a lot of airport trips back and forth. But you've made it happen. And on this occasion, we saw it's the Bruiser Brody Memorial. Of course, we're honored to have Barbara Goodish there each and every year to honor your good friend, Bruiser Brody. And this year, we had the Bruiser Brody Memorial Battle Royal. On this occasion, it was the very popular James Jeffries, the man from Denton County, Texas, surviving, 20, 25 other wrestlers to become the last man inside the ring. James Jeffries, this year's Bruiser Brody Memorial Cup winner.
Well, and you hit the nail right on the head there, Doctor. It's a headache. And I'm not the only one that does programs like this. But and they'll all tell you it is sometimes a nightmare when you're trying to schedule the talent, because you want to bring the best talent in for your fans, and I think we've done that over the last 3 years.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting calls every week from fans. I mean, just this week alone, our Canadian friends, Alan Johnson and people like that, up in Canada. Hey, when's the dates? We want to get our reservations made. And, last year we had it at the Hilton Hotel at the airport. And, of course, that tornado came through and, people are still suffering from that. And, they're all in our thoughts and prayers as the city of St. Louis is trying to recover from that. But you add that in with just the scheduling aspect of it is a nightmare. So to answer some of the questions out there, we are looking at it. We're looking at a couple of different locations that would accommodate our guests that come in, our fans. So it's not out of the question, but right now we are looking and hopefully planning towards it.
You're a tease.
Well, it's
nothing confirmed yet.
No,
we can't.
It's about a building, and you got to have the right place, and you got to make it conducive to what you need. And I don't think it will be as big as it has been the last couple of years. 50, 60 of the legends.
Yeah.
Because everybody's, getting tired. They've got other commitments, and you want to bring in some fresh talent. And so, but that's what we're looking at. But I will tell you this, so that if we find the right building, there's some people of significant popularity that has already contacted me and said, hey, we're in with both feet. We've got some ideas we want to bring to you. And they have, and I like them. And so I think that if we can get a building, I think the fans will be surprised of FanFest 4.
Well, I can't wait. Folks, keep on Herb. He's on Facebook. Keep on him. You talked about all the special people that make the trip into St. Louis and the St. Louis area for the FanFest. We're going to take a look now at someone who came in at FanFest 3. We have a thorn in all of our sides named Lucky P. Larson. And as soon as we met him, he's been bragging about the one and only Walking Riot, Missy Hyatt. Missy Hyatt was here with us at FanFest 3. And right now we're going to take a look at a little video of what happened when Missy Hyatt joined us for FanFest 3. Wrestling fans, Drew Abbenhouse here with my normal commentating partner. We are here at FanFest 3. And I'll be very honest, I don't know why I'm right here. Mr. Lucky P. Larson has requested a little bit of interview time and apparently has an announcement to make. Lucky, what's going on?
Look, Lucky P. Larson, Esquire, is nothing if not honest. And I'm willing to agree, willing to admit, willing to acknowledge, willing to say that it has not been the best few months for the Dogtown Underground. Plus, I have been slightly distracted with some other investments. I've bought some buildings, some commercial buildings, some apartment buildings. I've invested in some things. And I may be just a tiny, tiny bit lower on cash flow than I want to be or need to be for the Dogtown Underground. So, I have broadened my horizons, and I have brought in an investor to the Dogtown Underground.
An investor?
An investor.
We've seen these investors before in SICW. I don't know.
I am going to introduce you to my investor because I think you will be particularly interested.
They're here?
They are here in that very office. Would you like to meet my investor?
Let's go.
Come. You will never doubt Lucky P. Larson Esquire again. Come on. This is my investor.
Oh my God!
Lucky P, we need to talk. We have a lot of business to get through. We have so much business to get through. Yes.
It's Missy Hyatt! Holy crap! I didn't believe
I
you.
think it would be. I've managed champions. I know everything about professional wrestling. I know more about wrestling in my eyelash than any of you guys know in your whole bodies. And Lucky P right here is the smartest manager in wrestling today. And with me behind him, we're gonna rule the wrestling world. I'm already the locker room czar. I've been appointed by President Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump, if you did not know. So, right, Little P?
Guys, Missy, I'm a journalist. I have to ask, no offense. Is this strictly, is this business related? Is this a personal thing? What's going on here with you guys?
Of course, in my life, it's strictly business, right, babe?
Always.
Oh, look out. My Lord. Fans, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Don't ever doubt me.
Don't ever doubt him. You're doubting him, you're doubting me.
Well, fans, calling me shocked. Let's head back to All-Star Wrestling. Fans, you saw it. We didn't want to believe him, but it's true. What is formerly known as the Dogtown Underground, with the help of Missy Hyatt's backing and finances, now Lucky P. Larson, of course, leading the Larson Global Sports Attractions. And I didn't want to give him any credit, but you saw it. Proof is in the pudding. Missy Hyatt is apparently in the corner and is a supporter of Lucky P. Larson. Why? I don't know.
Well, week after week when he was sitting there at the commentary booth with you, and I don't think there was a episode that went by that he wasn't talking about his relationship with Missy Hyatt. And as you said, we didn't want to believe it. We thought he was just blowing wind. But as my grandmother used to say, the proof's in the pudding. And boy, he proved it during FanFest.
Certainly did. It was a shock to me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, after listening to Lucky P's nonsense, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with more highlights from 2025.
Hey everybody, What Were They Thinking is proud to be a part of the show with Herb Simmons at SICW.
Show some enthusiasm, Joe. Put on a damn bow tie. We got Herb Simmons, we got the Kill Arena, we got St. Louis, where Mr. Briscoe is in the Hall of Fame. What Were They Thinking? It's available on Backstage Pass. Sports Kita's our buddies. We talk about the wildest, the craziest, the dumbest, the insane moments in wrestling history that I'm proud to be a part of because, Mr. Briscoe, you're the one that hired me.
And I don't know what I was thinking when I did that, John.
That's not nice. Not nice at all. We love Herb Simmons, and Herb Simmons, you have been there forever. Mr. Briscoe thinks you might be 1,000. I don't think you're a day over 900. We love St. Louis. What were they thinking, Backstage Pass?
You know what most people don't know is that when the Archangel was wrestling over Logan Spire, Herb Simmons was the promoter. When Abraham Lincoln wrestled Jerry Briscoe, Herb Simmons was the promoter. He has promoted all the greatest fights in the history of the world. SICW is the greatest wrestling in the entire planet, and it's all because of Herb Simmons. He has promoted everything. He promoted Inoki. He did Jack Johnson. He is the greatest pro ever. It's unbelievable. You know what? The APA needs to ride again. And maybe the APA needs to go to SICW. What do you think about that?
All right, wrestling fans, we are back as we are taking a journey through 2025. And now that is going to bring us to June, which marked the return of SICW to the beautiful Worldwide Technology Raceway. Herb, we've talked about all the amazing places that we run, and this, I don't want to say one's any better than the other, but there is no place like the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Every race, every event, it's like a party. The atmosphere is amazing. The fans are amazing. All of our good friends there are amazing. Talk a little bit about how'd you make this happen?
Well, I'm going to tell you, when they say right place, right time, that's really a true statement. And I can't thank Worldwide Technology Raceway, Curtis Francois, the owner of the track, the General Vice President Manager, Chris Blair, Mike Buellhorn. They're all wrestling fans, and that's the combination right there. And it has been a great opportunity for us. And in fact, I told Curtis I wish I'd met him about 20 years ago when I was younger.
Can you imagine what you would have pulled off?
What a beautiful location, and when they have the races out there, and they've asked us to participate, it is just the highlights of the year. As you said, we have been to some unique places, over the years, Fox Theater, the Missouri Athletic Club, buildings like that you can only sometimes dream about. Went back to the Chase Park Plaza Hotel.
Yes, sir.
But then you throw in Worldwide Technology Raceway, we're the best in racing. And we said all along, racing and wrestling fans go together.
You bet, and it's been our honor. We were there for NASCAR events, IndyCar events, drag races.
NHRA, yes.
We were there, and I was watching this with a wrestler or two. The one and only Bill Murray performed a concert, believe it or not, and before we put on a few matches in front of the great fans, we got to sit back and watch Bill Murray belt out a few tunes. That was a very surreal moment.
Yeah, it's all about giving the fans what they want. That's why we do this program every Sunday night, and that's why we're doing it tonight, to kind of recap those memories, because that's what we have is memories, and that's why, as you said at our shows, take your photographs, because I'm telling you, 10, 15, 20 years from now, when you're sitting around and you start looking at those photos, you start getting some good memories back, I'll tell you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely right. June, of course, did we not only return to the Technology Raceway, we had in, somebody say something about fired up. We had the one and only, the former NWA champion, Wildfire Tommy Rich, join us for not one, but two shows. First, we went to Shawneetown, Illinois. This was our first trip to Shawneetown.
Shawneetown, Illinois, a great, great venue. The fire chief down there, a great individual, another wrestling fan. Shawneetown, Illinois. My grandparents were from Shawneetown, Illinois, so I got to hear some of the stories from people that knew my grandfather. So I really enjoyed it. But the fire chief just kind of rolled out the red carpet for us, and then to take somebody like Tommy Rich there. We were there the year before. We took Jimmy Hart, Tony Atlas, and Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. down there, and they put them on a pontoon boat in a parade that they had, and went through this town of Shawneetown. Great, great town, and we look forward there, and we're going to be going back to Shawneetown in 2026.
Yes, sir. You talked about the float bringing all the legends through the town. I know Tommy Rich and Attila Khan, they brawled right out of the building, and they were on the streets of Shawneetown.
They were, and I mean, Tommy Rich, you don't really have to say a lot about him because he does his own talking, but when somebody says, hey, somebody say fired up, you can bet Tommy Wildfire Rich is in the house, and he gave the fans of Shawneetown and in Collinsville, Illinois.
I was going to say, not just Shawneetown. Collinsville, Illinois has been gracious enough to host us at the Fireman's Hall there on a few occasions. And they also saw the one-on-one battle, Attila Khan and Tommy Rich. Shawneetown couldn't contain it. The fight continued in Collinsville.
Yes, when Tommy Rich comes to town, people come out because they want to see the wild one. And, a lot of people forgot, he held that NWA title at one time.
Absolutely right.
So, great champion he was.
Won it from the one and only Harley Race, believe it or not.
Yes.
So September, we talked about the Worldwide Technology Raceway. We were back in September. This was arguably one of our biggest shows of the year. It was the NASCAR show. This is where we talked about Bill Murray performing. When the one and only NASCAR comes to town, it brings a crowd like no other. Gosh, thousands and thousands of fans saw not only great racing, great music, but some great wrestling action. And it really blew away our competitors to be in front of such an awesome crowd on such a great stage in front of so many people.
Well, when you put that combination together of SICW wrestling and racing fans, as I said, that's a marriage made in heaven. I think that's what the idea Mr. Francois had is that he wanted to give the fans something special. He wants his race fans to stay entertained throughout the whole program, the whole weekend. And as you know, they have something going on. It's a nonstop event out there. And just to say we're just a little bit a part of that is really great for SICW and for the wrestling fans. So I'm really looking forward to a relationship with them moving forward into 2026.
Absolutely. As we start talking about October, I'm actually going to hop back a month or two because for the last few years, it's kind of what we like to call SICW on tour. That's where we've had a ton of shows between that August and November. Man, you really put your roster to the challenge. We had a show almost every week. Let's talk about all of the wonderful places that we visited just this past year. We talked about Shawneetown. We talked about the Collinsville Fireman's Hall. We were gracious enough, or lucky enough, to be for the, fifth, maybe sixth year in a row, the Belleville Little Devils hosted us on their awesome football field in front of Bobby D's own. He's the coach of the Little Devils, which is a great local organization for the youth of Belleville. It's play football, amateur wrestling, cheerleading. They really provide the youngsters with a lot to do, and it's been our honor to help them raise some money several years now.
Well, and how fortunate it's been for us, because it is, most of those shows have been outside. We did one, I think, inside their wrestling building, but the rest of them has been on the field, and we have had tremendous luck with the weather. The one year, I remember it was so hot during the daytime, we were all thinking, should we cancel? Is it going to be too hot? And come bell time, that breeze came across that football field, and it was one of the most beautiful nights that you could ever imagine, sitting out there underneath the stars.
Yeah, you
and
bet.
the stars were performing that night.
Yes, sir.
So we hats off to the Belleville Little Devils, Bobby D, that whole staff out there. Hopefully they'll have us back in 2026. But as you said, we raised them some money, and it goes for a great cause, stays right there in the community.
Yes, sir. Just a few weeks following that, in the end of August, we visited the Soho Apartments, another great building, great opportunity for us. We wrestle outside right by the pool. In fact, a few wrestlers through the years have taken that dunk into the pool, not on their choice, of course. But.
Well, yeah, another unique atmosphere. Like you said, it's the Soho Apartments right there on Broadway and St. Louis. When we first got called about that a couple of years ago, I thought, I don't know if it's going to work here, but man, it's a beautiful location, and the staff there goes all out. The people who live in the condos there sit on their balconies, and they come down and get in the pool. And as you said, a couple of our locker room guys have had the misfortune of taking a dip in the pool right then and there.
Yes, sir. Sandoval, Illinois. We've been 3, I think maybe 4 times now. It's a great trip. Referee Mr. Bill Henson is the man behind getting us out to Sandoval, Illinois. And it's a great trip every single time.
Well, Bill Henson, he corrals those students, and I'm telling you, they're all out there helping, they're promoting it. It always goes for a good cause. The money they raise stays right there in the school district, and the folks of Sandoval. I've met a lot of good friends from Sandoval that are continuing to follow us, continue to come to our shows here locally now. So, what we're doing is building that fan base. If they can't make the show, they're following the Sunday night show, and we're bringing them the finest in professional wrestling. But if you can ever come out to Sandoval, you'll see what we're talking about. It draws you into the business.
Yes, sir. Another place we've raised a lot of money for the first responders of their area, Fairmont City, Illinois.
Another great town. Chief Allen, Chief Brown, the fire chief and police chief go out, and and then the fans pack that gymnasium at Holy Rosary, and it's always a great, great event there. They have great food.
Yes.
They always take care of our guys and the gals in the locker room. Everybody is so nice. I remember the week before, Big Texan and I went to their community night out. And Big Texan was the star of that show, and then it was kind of like the Pied Piper. They all followed the next weekend to the show, and I can't say enough for Chief Brown and Chief Allen for how they put that together. They go out and they get their businesses to help support it, and it's just always another great event.
Yes, sir. Big shout out to our friend Mr. Don Hyman in Breeze, Illinois.
Not just Don, nothing against just Don, but your family. I mean, it's a family affair there for the Paws organization, I think it is. And they go out there and they work it hard. They use their students. They come out because all that money stays there with them. They have their students actually serving the tables.
Yes.
If you want popcorn, if you want drinks, whatever you want, the nacho chips with that beef stuff on it.
Yeah.
They do a great job, I'm telling you. Breeze, Illinois, a great organization and a great time.
Well, you mentioned PAWS. It's parents and alumni working for students, and that really encapsulates what SICW is all about. All of these shows that we do when we travel to these communities, it's not for our own benefit. I mean, it is. It's good to get our name out there, but it's because we enjoy it. It's fundraising. It's giving back to these communities, and it's really making money, whether it's for first responders, for these student organizations. When we go out to Sandoval, it's for the students and usually the sports teams. Same with the Belleville Little Devils. So that's really a neat thing that you've always been about with SICW, is giving back to our fans and our local communities.
Well, and that's
really important.
And that's what we've done. My wife and I, my family, because I've been doing this now, coming up on 53 years in February. And, we've always said that if we could ever get in the position to where we can help these local organizations, because over the years, they have been the ones that have supported SICW. And so if we can go back and just give them a little bit, 95% of what we're doing is these fundraisers for these organizations. And I think, again, pick off of what my grandmother and my mother used to always say, the proof is in the pudding. Yeah. When you have this repeat business year after year, we're going back to these organizations, they wouldn't be having us back if we weren't bringing them the best that we could.
Yes, sir. We'll talk about somewhere we made our very first trip to. Beautiful building. It was at the skating rink in Troy, Illinois. You brought the one and only Hall of Famer, Cowboy Bob Orton. And on this occasion, it was, I believe, the first time two former students of his, Big Nasty Glenn Williams and Brandon Beretta, for the first time in ever, they're on the same side of the fence now. They were on a team. They let their mouths and their fists get them into a little bit of trouble. Cowboy Bob Orton himself saw enough of his former students and had to show them that he taught them everything that they know, but he didn't teach them everything that the Cowboy himself knows, as Cowboy got into the ring and showed his former students a little bit of what for.
Well, and it's no secret, Cowboy Bob Orton is close to SICW, has been a great friend for many, many years. And I think it showed that when we inducted him into the St. Louis Hall of Fame, and his son Randy came and they actually did the induction. And I had calls from promoters from around the country saying, hey, how did you get Randy to show up? And I said, well, when you're inducting his father, who well deserved, his father, Bob Orton Sr., who was on the first show of 1959 at Wrestling at the Chase, had already been inducted into the Hall of Fame. And so, and then when Randy gets ready, I think we'll have a spot for him in there also.
I think so too. We talk about how do you get these guys. Randy Orton was a big surprise, of course. Another big surprise, we returned to the beautiful Missouri Athletic Club, and we saw another Hall of Famer, the one and only JBL, joined us in front of really an amazing crowd at the Missouri Athletic Club. JBL mentioned it reminded him of the old days where he worked in all the smoky buildings. Of course, all the gentlemen and ladies at the Missouri Athletic Club enjoying their cigars and their bourbon and whiskey there at the tables. It's a building and an environment unlike anything that we've done, and really what an amazing night, just not just for the fans in attendance, but for these wrestlers. And I know JBL was really blown away.
Well, and that's always a show, and Drew, I always enjoy that one because you and I get to sit there at ringside and watch close-up action, and
I get to work with some ring girls, which
you
is
sure
nice.
do. That's it. I got pictures of that too.
Yes, so do I.
It's a great atmosphere. It really takes you back to those days of wrestling at the Chase. They've got the tables out there with the tablecloths on them. Everybody's dressed up to the nines, basically. And as Dr. Drew said, the men and women are enjoying a night out, and I can't thank Jim Wilson enough, the entertainment director there, that for several years now has asked SICW to put that event on. And we've had some of the all-time greats in there in the past. You know, Jimmy Hart several times, Sergeant Slaughter, Jerry the King Lawler, Jake the Snake Roberts,
Brutus Beefcake,
Tito Santana, you know, and the list goes
Buff
on and on.
Bagwell.
Yeah, and this last year, JBL blessed us with coming in, and he was really excited about it. And each time I talk to him, he always brings that up. So we appreciate the Missouri Athletic Club.
Not only did JBL bless us with coming in, but he blessed, I don't know that Stephen E. would call it this, but he blessed Stephen E. with that lariat of his. And Stephen E. tried to, I don't know if recruit is the right word, but Stephen E. thought that his money, his Saudi influence would have some sort of an impact on JBL. And the tables were turned. JBL certainly had an impact on the leader of Devastation Incorporated, Stephen E.
Well, and Devastation Incorporated, for those of you who follow us, and maybe some of you are just tuning in for the first time tonight, Stephen E. is probably one of the most deviant financiers, leaders out there since Travis Cook.
Well, and he's following in the footsteps with Devastation Incorporated of the one and only Skandar Akbar.
Who he knew.
Absolutely right. And I tell you what, this modern day version of Devastation Incorporated is just as, no pun intended, devastating and dangerous as Skandar Akbar's devastation.
Well, and what really created that problem is when Stephen E. and Travis Cook became associates, and then my headaches just really compounded at that time. And as you well know, because you were right there involved in it, but we kind of thought that had been put aside. But back to when JBL came in, Stephen E. thought he could influence JBL, and as you said, didn't end well for Stephen E. But you know, Stephen E. is like that bad penny; he keeps showing up. And I'm always worried about a guy like that because he's always out searching for new talent, and we've seen him grab some new talent this last year.
We certainly have. Before we head back to our normal SICW shows, I want to talk about two quick events that I know we are big supporters of as well. First of all, the Thez Tragos Hall of Fame, SICW had the honor of presenting a show up in Waterloo, Iowa, the home, the birthplace of the NWA. It was an honor for yourself to be trusted in putting on such a great show. And on this occasion, we saw Glenn Williams defending the Central States Championship against James Jeffries. James Jeffries was riding the high of winning the Bruiser Brody Cup. And on this occasion, in front of an amazing crowd in a lumberjack match, which included the likes of Bill DeMott, the one and only Baron von Raschke, we saw James Jeffries claim the Central States title, defeating Big Nasty Glenn Williams in what was a tremendous matchup in front of a great crowd, in front of a lot of legends.
Oh, yeah, and then JBL was there, also D'Lo Brown. Yeah. So the who's who of professional wrestling was in Waterloo, Iowa, and I can't thank my good friend Gerald Briscoe and the entire staff up there at the Hall of Fame, Tragus Thez Hall of Fame. It's such a great honor to go there every year, and it was even a bigger honor when Mr. Briscoe and the staff asked us to be part of the wrestling. And to my good friend Troy Peterson from Impact Wrestling, who had been putting the show on for 14 years, he kind of took a little break. And like I said, maybe he'll be back in 2026. If not, if they ask us, I would be honored to come back. But that's Troy's area, and Troy's been a good friend, and I can't say enough for what he puts on. James Jeffries, and that's where we met James Jeffries, was through Impact Wrestling. And again, it's just a great atmosphere there. You talk about great fans, and we made a lot of fans and friends up there. We had the Boogie man with us there.
Man, yes, sir.
We had him up there with us, and over the years I've taken people like Barry Windham, Mike Rotunda, Jimmy Valiant. So we've been a supporter of them, and we want to continue to support them and just have a great time.
Yes, sir. And James Jeffries, of course, we briefly mentioned, and we'll talk about our big January 10th show before we get out of here. James Jeffries will be with us at the Belle Claire Fairgrounds January the 10th, defending that Central States title in a rematch against Big Nasty. One other quick shout out, an organization that you are a proud member of. We've supported the Cauliflower Alley Club for many years. Earlier this year, you were graced with the Promoter of the Year. We've known that around here for a long time, and now the whole wrestling world in Las Vegas got to see what makes Herb Simmons and SICW very special. I know that was a big honor for you.
Big honor, in many ways. I got to take the trip out there in an RV. We got to take a little road trip, which I thought my road trip days were over with, but the family and I and some good friend Brian Whitaker, who did, I think, an excellent job. In fact, I said that I've already made a note for my wife that when I leave this great earth of ours, this world, that I want Brian to do my eulogy, because I think he did an excellent job on the induction speech. But my hat's off to that entire CAC board, Brian Blair, Rich Engling, Darla Staggs, our dear friend, I believe the #1 professional wrestling fan ever. I've told that story many, many times. Her first match was in 1959 when her father held her in his arms at the Kiel Auditorium and saw Pat O'Connor take on Dick Hutton. And she's still out there. She's not that old, but she's the #1 fan. But, people like that, Pam Morrison and Barbara Goodish, that just have their heart and soul put into CAC, is really a great organization. They help so many of the wrestlers and people who are involved in it, whether you're an announcer or whether you're a ring crew. If you fall on hard times, the CAC is that organization. It's out there to help you out.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's dial it back and come back locally. The end of October marked a rather remarkable change. Billy McNeil and Curtis Wilde were our tag team champions for over 400 days. They're the longest reigning tag team champions we've ever had. But in October, it was in the SICW studios. It was part of our television episodes. It was Big Nasty Glenn Williams teaming up with the Super Assassin, believe it or not, and Glenn Williams and the Super Assassin, with a little bit of distraction from #trending Trent Daniels, ended up leaving the East Carondelet Community Center as the brand new SICW Tag Team Champions, which they still are.
Well, and one of the goals for 2026, I think, is I want to find out who this Super Assassin is. Yeah. What a monster he is.
Yes, sir.
And with Glenn Williams at his side, they are definitely a team to be reckoned with. And, of course, you said, I can't say enough, the popular Billy McNeil and the volatile Curtis Wilde and Wildfire really went out there and waved the banner of SICW. As you said, the longest running champions in SICW, tag team champions, and I can't thank them enough. Unfortunately, as they say, all good things come to an end, but that don't mean they're down and out, I can tell you.
You bet. November, we saw the action continue as two once friends turned into pretty bitter enemies, and we saw the Canadian hero Sean Vincent and Big Nasty Glenn Williams really let out their aggression on each other on a few different occasions. Breeze, Illinois saw a strap match between these two that did not end their animosity, as the Belle Claire Fairgrounds then saw a street fight between Big Nasty Glenn Williams and the Canadian hero, and at least on both of these occasions, it was Sean Vincent showing his former protege, Glenn Williams, that maybe the Canadian hero had a little bit of a one-up, at least for now, on Glenn Williams.
Well, you never, the teacher never teaches the student everything. And I think that's kind of what was taught there. The Canadian hero, Sean Vincent, and him and I have had issues where we've not seen eye to eye, and we've seen eye to eye other times. But this big nasty Glenn Williams is definitely that little thorn in your side, and I think the Canadian hero realized that, and I think that's what parted ways there. And 2026, I think if you listen to big nasty Glenn Williams, 2026 is his year. He's coming all out. He's making these points now where he's calling JBL out, and I don't know if that's a good thing to be doing.
Crazy. I'm told before we get out of here, we do have an episode of Nasty Talk, but we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Let's close this out. We'll have to talk about December. It was the return after a few years to a place that the fans love. I personally love it, the Swansea Firehouse, a beautiful building, and it was a great occasion. Not only did this year it see the return of our 5-time champion, Flash Flanagan, as he took on the cornerstone, really, the foundation of Devastation Incorporated, Attila Khan. It was mistletoe mayhem in the firehouse as two former champions really went to war.
Well, and to first be back in the Swansea Fire Department for the Swansea Park District was just a great moment for us. And thanks to Mike Buellhorn, our good friend, raising funds for the Park District. But then second, to have the return of Flash Flanagan come back, and to put him and the International Bounty Hunter against one another, I think was the highlight there. And I think that the fans were not disappointed in that match. So that, with the other turmoil that came about.
Yes, I was going to say I don't know if I'd call it a highlight, but it was certainly a interesting occasion. In the middle of a match, it was Billy McNeil and Curtis Wilde in the ring with Trent Daniels and Richard Shaw. There was a commotion at the front door. We heard a little bit of scuttle, and we look over, and it is a group that has locally been making a lot of waves called Dysfunction. On this evening, it was Brandon Espinosa, Kyle Roberts, and Chris Exodus making an appearance in the Swansea Firehouse. They were trying to get in. I think they thought they were going to get in for free. The people at the door didn't know what to do. The security guards didn't know what to do. We didn't really know what to do. What were your thoughts when you saw these gentlemen kind of invade our show?
Well, when the people at the front door, Mr. Buellhorn, motioned for me to come over, I went because, I recognized Brandon. Brandon was a part of SICW for many years.
Yes,
been gone for 9 or 10 years, out making a bigger name for himself throughout the country, basically. And I've been keeping track of what he does. Same way with Chris Exodus, a fine young man, making a great name for himself. Kyle Roberts. These are three individuals that are not letting the grass grow underneath them. And so when I got over there, I explained to Brandon, he was kind of the spokesman for the three. I said, hey, thanks for coming. It's a fundraiser. This gentleman will take your money. Well, no, we're just here. We want to see Billy McNeil and Curtis Wilde. We heard they're in action here tonight.
Yes.
So I come to find out they evidently had a problem years ago.
Well.
And as the fans who were there, or the fans who maybe heard about it, there was some hollering back and forth. Curtis Wilde, once you get him, you get the volatile one fired up. He's got a lot to say. And so I walked up to the ring. I asked them what's going on. Did you know this was taking place? No. Bottom short story here. They end up. Billy says, "Hey, if they just shut up, I'll give them a match." After they successfully beat hashtag Trent Daniels and Richard Shaw.
Yeah.
Now, they've already fought one match for about 10, 12 minutes, whatever it was. And I said, well, are you sure? They said, hey, if that's what they're here for trouble, we're here to give it to them.
Well, that's the spirit that allowed Billy and Curtis to be the tag team champions for over 400 days. They weren't going to turn down this fight. And with Brandon Espinosa, it's kind of personal with some of these guys, and they were ready to accept the challenge. On this occasion, it was a little bit of chicanery. I don't know that Dysfunction was there to win a match, but so much as make a statement as they left the evening standing tall. They didn't care about a win. They got disqualified by jumping, all three of them, Curtis and Billy, and they certainly left their mark on SICW. And the scary thing about this dysfunction group, this was just 3 guys. This group has, I think, 7 or 8, 9,
Parasite,
9 different people.
yeah, there's different ones.
So we might have something to keep an eye out as we get into 2026.
Well, and as I learned a lesson that night with talking with Chris Exodus at ringside, I said, now look, if you're not in the match, I don't want you getting involved. And you have my word. You have my word. Well,
couldn't help himself.
That showed what his word is. So he taught me a lesson that night. So the old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He taught me a new trick.
Yes, sir. And we'll talk about one more big feud. Throughout the year, we saw one of the Midwest's most dangerous competitors. I say competitors because this is whether it's talking about men, women. The 6'5" Lilith Khan has been making an impression everywhere she goes. This year, she ran into a very tough lady from Rattlesnake Pass, Skull Canyon, Arizona, in Ms. Hyde. She brings that bullwhip everywhere she goes. We saw Lilith Khan and Ms. Hyde battle, I think, on 4 different occasions in SICW. They battled at FanFest to no winner. They battled Belleville, Illinois, saw a cage match between these two. They had a country whipping match at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. They had a match where they were both attached at the wrist with a leather strap in Collinsville. And these 2 ladies, they couldn't put their issues to bed until you locked them in a steel cage. And at least on that occasion, Ms. Hyde came out victorious against Lilith Khan, who previously had always stayed one step ahead of Ms. Hyde.
Well, and I got to tell you,
2 tough ladies, I'll tell you what.
I'm going to tell you, they really set the standards and they raised the bar. And you talk about tit for tat, and I didn't expect anything different out of Miss Hyde, the daughter of Searcher from American Championship Wrestling, great friend, does a lot of great shows in Missouri. And so when I asked him if I could use his daughter up here to try to teach this Amazon, Lilith Khan, a graduate of the Ace Wrestling Academy, who has done nothing but went out there and made a name for herself in a short time. When we had her up in Waterloo, Iowa, she stole the show. Everybody just could not believe her size. And but I knew Miss Hyde, like you said, she brings that bullwhip, and when she cracks that bullwhip, it gets everybody's attention in the arena. And but they had 4 tremendous matches that I think are on the top 10 of my list of being right up there.
Yes, sir. And we'll also give a quick shout out to another young lady who's really taken Lilith to task on a few occasions, and that's Kelsey Magnolia. Kelsey Magnolia is a really great wrestler that we've had several times here in SICW, and I know fans can't wait to see her again.
Well, and she's not only an excellent talent, but she's helped us out quite a few times on the spur of a moment, and that's what makes it so important when you're trying to build a reputation, is to make yourself available, and she did. I mean, I called her up the night before a show, and the next night she was here with us, so that goes a long way in the book of SICW when you make yourself available.
Okay, I think that's mostly talked about all our big occasions. We're going to be right back after this. We got to throw to something. I don't know how he pulls it off. Glenn Williams bought himself some time. So even now on this SICW recap episode, we have a brand new, special for you folks, episode of Nasty Talk. Let's see what Glenn has for us today.
It's the hottest talk show on TV today. It's Nasty Talk. Now here's your host. It's Big Nasty.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Nasty Talk. That's right, it's the hottest thing going in professional wrestling today, and it's not even close. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as this show keeps growing, bigger and better, it gets crazier, it gets more unpredictable. Tonight is no different. Tonight is probably the biggest night in Nasty Talk's history. Now, as the Big Nasty brand keeps getting bigger and better and crazier and more unpredictable, it's time that you sit back and think how we can expand. And that's what I've been doing. How can I grow the Big Nasty brand. And so I've been doing this mentorship program. I've been finding wrestlers who are lost. I've been finding wrestlers who are new. And just finding wrestlers maybe who have some potential that they don't see yet. And I've been showing them the right way to navigate the professional wrestling business. And trust me, I do things the right way. And so what I've done is I've taken all of my tips, my tricks, and my shortcuts I found along the way, and I've formulated it all into one successful system. And tonight, I'm going to show you exactly what I've been working on. But part of that is going to be my brand new book that I'll be releasing called The Star of the Show, Success System by Big Nasty. Now, it hasn't even been released yet, but it's already a New York Times bestseller, duh, because I'm that good. So stick around, and after this week's edition of Nasty Burn, you're going to get to see exactly what the Nasty System is all about. We'll be right back. All right, it's time for this week's edition of A Nasty Burn, and it's brought to you by Bucked Up. I use Bucked Up products all the time. Hell, I'm on a dry scoop of pre-workout right now. Go to buckedup.com and use my promo code WINNER123 and get 20% off your entire order right now. Now, for this week's edition of A Nasty Burn. Last week on the Nasty Burn edition, I went after JBL. And I actually got his attention for once. I can't believe it. And he kind of responded. He shared my post on X and tried comparing me to a leprechaun. Said, basically, I was Hornswoggle without saying I was Hornswoggle. So here we go. Let's see if we can really piss him off. JBL tried comparing me to Hornswoggle. Yeah, right, dude. I'm at least 5'10". And, hey, between you and I've never been knocked out in a match or a fight. Have you? Oh, yeah. Remember the Brawl for All? Let's roll the footage. Ooh, Timber! He's going down. You know we gotta see the replay, dude. Let's do it again. Ooh! JR's like, by God, it killed him. It broke him in half. You know we're gonna have to do this one more time. Oh, that knocked him out cold. It's so cold, Jack. It's cold. It's so cold because it knocked you out. I've never been knocked out, but you've been knocked out. A nasty burn.
Hi. Are you tired of working hard? Are you tired of sweating? Are you tired of all those people telling you that you got to do things the right way? Well, everywhere I go, I'm the star of the show. And now you can be too. Why try so hard when you could just have your buddy distract the ref and hit him with something heavy? These poor souls, they're wandering, directionless, they're lost, they're perfect. Teach them the art of distraction, manipulation, and emotional depth.
Hey, William, am I gonna get paid for this?
That attitude, I love it. You're gonna go far, kid. Why lift weights when you can lift the rule book and immediately throw it behind you? But wait, there's more. If you call in the next 15 minutes, you're going to get my entire nasty system, the cheats, the distractions, the custom fitted brass knuckles for absolutely free.
And that's not all. Order now and you'll receive this exclusive bonus.
Trust me, it's great.
Before the nasty system, I was losing matches. Now, I'm losing my self-respect. 5 stars. He taught me to distract the ref by pretending my shoelaces were tied to the ropes.
I've never won a match, but he keeps telling me I'm doing exactly what the system demands. I don't know what that means.
Now remember, success isn't about effort, it's about appearance. Everywhere I go, say it with me. You're the star of the show. That's right. Join me, follow me, and together we will take every single shortcut that we can find.
All right, you saw it, folks. We might not like him, but even I have to admit, I've been a wrestling fan for most of my 43 years. I've never seen anybody quite like Glenn Williams. He is a one-of-a-kind character, isn't he?
He definitely is.
No shortage of self-confidence, I'll tell you.
No, he's got it all. Nobody else in his family probably or that he knows has it because he's got it all. And what he's trying to do is this mentorship program that he's got now. Hey, I'm going to teach these young guys how to win. I'm going to teach them how to win by cheating and throw the rule book. That's the most work they'll be doing. It's to me, it's just crazy. But as you can see, people are following him, and he's getting some people involved. That's the thing.
The thing about Glenn is he acts like he's helping and he's teaching these guys. Glenn is one of the greater opportunists that I've seen, whether it was Sean Vincent, whether it's his occasional partner, #trending, Trent Daniels. Now he has the super assassin. He's used other young men in the past. I think Glenn Williams is using these people to, shield himself and propel himself even higher. I don't know if it's he's helping them or if he's using them to help himself.
Well,
time will tell.
And there's some people out there that he can't pull the wool over their eyes. People like Jason Breed, that's been around a long time, that is not going to fall for any crazy stuff like that. But in another guy that he's really poking the bear, as he says, and that's this thing with JBL. He, for some reason, he's obsessed with him. I mean, I don't understand where that's coming from, but that may not turn out good for him.
Absolutely not. Glenn Williams always shoots his sights very high. He thought he could take the Big Texan in a lariat contest once upon a time, and now you say poking the bear. JBL is, I think he's technically retired. He's had his last match, but again, if you stir the nest too much, you will get stung, and hopefully we see that happen. I'd love to see it.
Well, like I said, I don't know where Glenn's going with that, but nasty talk and, his nasty burn, a couple weeks ago he was on the Big Texan. He's been on Sean Vincent a lot, so he's probably going to be on Drew Ebenhouse in the future.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Wrestling fans, if you're in the Atlanta area on Friday, January 9th and Saturday, January 10th, don't miss the opportunity to attend the Abdullah the Butcher 85th birthday celebration. Friday night at the Wyndham Garden Atlanta Airport and Saturday at the Prince Hall Grand Lounge. An awards ceremony banquet and many more things. Promoter Herb Simmons is honored to attend on Friday, January 9th as part of a question and answer segment and also receiving the Guardian of the Grapple Award. Join us in Atlanta.
All right, well, folks, that's really going to bring a wrap up to our 2025. Before we let you go for the day, we're going to talk about our next big show. We return to the Belle Claire Fairgrounds on January 10th. We're in the big hall, the big exposition center that you've run in many, many times. It's a fundraiser for the St. Clair Animal Services. Talk a little bit about this fundraiser, what it does, why it's so important for our fans to join us January the 10th.
Well, if you're a pet lover out there, the St. Clair County Animal Services are putting on this fundraiser to help raise some funds for some of those items that they can't necessarily cover out of their budget. So the director there, Ashley Jett, her assistant, Cameron, have been out. They come up with an idea of putting this fundraiser on. They've attended the SICW shows, of course, and they see what we can do helping these other organizations. So we said, sure, we're going to jump in and do it. They're out selling sponsorships, and it's going to be a great time. You know, our four-legged friends out there, from our little puppy dogs to the little bitty kitty cats that may get shunned off, strays that get brought in, turned in to the animal services. Their job is to try to place them in homes, foster homes basically, and get them adopted out. And so this will help some of our furry friends out there. And I know you're an animal lover, I'm an animal lover. There's a lot of us animal lovers out there that can come out and help out and support this cause on January the 10th. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Bell time will be at 7 o'clock.
Yes, sir. And we can announce two huge matches, and they're both rematches for various gold here in SICW. Glenn Williams has been chatting nonstop, wanting a rematch against James Jeffries. Glenn says it's not his fault that he lost that Central States title. It's all the legends. It's
Bill
Baron
DeMont,
Monraski's fault. It's Bill DeMont's fault. Well, Glenn has a chance to prove that. James Jeffries returns to Belleville, Illinois, and will be putting that Central States title on the line against Big Nasty Glenn Williams. Glenn has an opportunity to become a double champion here, tag champ and the Central States champion. Could you imagine what that would do and what we'd have to deal with if Glenn Two Belts, he used to call himself once upon a time.
Well, I want to clarify that James Jeffries, Glenn Williams would like you to believe that James Jeffries has been dodging him and avoiding everything. James Jeffries has been defending that Central States title all up through the upper area of Minnesota, all up that way. He hasn't just been sitting back letting it stay on a shelf anywhere, and he's been very successful at it. And the dates have finally came together to where he can come back. And I just want to clarify that when I reached out to him, he had no bones or reservations. He said, Herb, I want that match to be against Glenn Williams. And so James Jeffries, he took it to him once, and we'll see what happens here in Belleville on January the 10th.
Yes, sir. And of course, not to top that, but the Classic Wrestling Championship will also be defended. Strictly Business, Brandon Beretta will put the title on the line against the man that he won it from. And of course, when Brandon Beretta won that title, it was with the help of a low blow. He hit that headlock driver of his on Bobby onto a steel chair. So a little bit of shenanigans. I have to think that Bobby D is now prepared for that. He's learned his lesson. This will be a refocused Bobby D, ready to reclaim the Classic Wrestling Championship. And Bobby's been on the 3-4 year run of a lifetime. He improves every time we see him. I can't wait to see this match.
Well, and as you know, Drew, in these championship matches, there is a clause in the contractual agreement that there can be a rematch, and the operative word there is can, and it's at the sole discretion of the promotion. And like I said, it's not that I try to follow that as much as I can, but scheduling a lot of times is what takes precedent over that. Yeah. And when Bobby D, and believe me, Bobby D has been, every time I talk with him, he keeps reminding me. And so, again, here is the opportune time at this big fundraiser for the animal services to let's put them back in the ring together. Brandon Beretta has been out defending that classic title, and whether you like his style that he does, he is the SICW Classic Champion. He's out defending that title. I worry all the time when I know he's doing it, because we could end up with a champion from another organization that I'd have to deal with.
Yes, sir.
But on January the 10th, Strictly Business will be there, and Belleville's own Bobby D is coming to try to retain that title, regain that title.
Yes, sir. What a year, Herb.
What a year, and what a year. I mean, thanks to the locker room, to all the talent that comes from all over to join the SICW locker room.
You said it, and as we're getting out of here, we're getting ready to wrap this one up, we want to send a huge thank you. It's not just the wrestlers, it's not just the promoters. SICW is a well-oiled machine. We have a great team. It's got a lot of your family members. Your wife, Mickey, is usually at the front welcoming people into the door. That's the first face they see. Your son, Jason, his wife, Christy. We have the newest member of our crew, your granddaughter, Cassia, is now part of that. We want to send a huge thank you to Brian Whitaker, who we can't do this without. He's the producer of this TV show. He's also at the front table that a lot of you fans see right when you come in the door. We've got an amazing crew, and you put together a pretty great team, and I'm honored to be a part of it. And thank you to everybody who makes SICW work the way it does. Destiny Lynch, shout out to all our referees. Nick Ridenauer is a very hard-working gentleman. So.
Everybody.
Great crew.
And again, I'm glad you mentioned my newest staff member, Cassia, because she works hard. My daughter, Jessica, was really active for a long, long time before she moved back home. She still watches us every Sunday night. In fact, I think her name is maybe still on the credits. But my son, Jeremy, and my grandson, Jordan, my security force, as dysfunction.
They found out.
Got to meet them firsthand here a few weeks ago. And then, of course, the star of the show, I said, is my great-granddaughter. I call her Herbitha. And I get a little flack over that. But Renly, you've seen her out there on my post, just a sweetheart. And so it's kind of a family business there, and I can't thank all of them. And, of course, my wife is the spark behind the knock.
The queen of SICW.
Yeah, but that wraps up 2025, Drew, and we're going to start off 2026 at the Belclaire Fairgrounds, and in February we're going to be at the Shriners. Don't forget it. 2 o'clock in the afternoon matinee.
Yes, sir. Follow Herb Simmons on Facebook. Follow SICW Wrestling on Facebook. I'm Drew Abbenhouse. I'm on Facebook. Follow all of us for all of the news broken right there on your screen. You'll find out first. So, any final words to the fans?
Happy New Year's and a prosperous New Year. And hang in here with SICW, because some bigger and better things are on the horizon.
It's been a great ride, and it's not over yet, fans. We hope you're having an amazing holiday season. For Herb Simmons, I'm Drew Abbenhouse. Have a happy and a safe New Year, fans. We'll see you in 2026, and we'll see you January the 10th at the Belclaire Fairgrounds for an amazing first show of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, bless you all. Thank you for welcoming us into your home. For today's episode and for this year, that's all from us, folks. We'll see you next time right here on SICW All-Star Wrestling. That's Herb Simmons. I'm Drew Abbenhouse. Have a great night and a happy New Year, everybody.
Good night.